there's a fear people experience when it comes to listening to their heart, that it's going to mean leaving their marriage or quitting their job or selling all their stuff and moving across the country. It's like, I work with people all the time that are interested in living a heart-led life. And it never means them leaving their relationship or making some drastic change. So while it did look somewhat like that for me, that's absolutely not everybody's path.
Retreat and Grow Rich, the podcast. I'm Darla Ledoux, best-selling author, coach, and retreat leader. And I'm on a mission to normalize transformation on the planet, one intimate retreat at a time. This show is dedicated to the coaches, consultants, healers, leaders, and light workers who are here to hold space for the truth that transforms lives and get paid for it. Expert retreat and business tips, strategies, stories, and magic. It's your weekly mini retreat delivered right to your ears. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to Retreat and Grow Rich, the podcast. I'm Darla Ledoux. I'll be your host today, and I'll be interviewing the amazing, fabulous, talented Ashlie Woods. Ashlie is someone who really walks her talk and epitomizes the concept behind this series, which is the Rich Revolution. Remember, Rich is that right-brained, intuitive, connected, and heart-centered energy. It's a different way of working that we're exploring in this series. Ashlie believes that you are infinitely powerful and inherently creative. Her work is about knowing that truth in the most undeniable of ways, so you can embody it in every area of your life. Ashlie's journey to freedom began over a decade ago when she attended a weekend workshop, and I'll call it a retreat, and discovered that she wasn't broken. That life-changing moment propelled her along an endless path of self-love and authentic living. In the decades since, she's come to know the wholeness of who she is, to trust her intuition for guidance, and to believe that she is worthy of what she most desires. Ashlie believes there's nothing sweeter or more liberating than loving ourselves exactly the way that we are. Welcome, Ashlie. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
I am excited to share with people about wholehearted living and what it is to follow your heart and let your heart lead the way, as opposed to all the other ways we can live our lives. So that's what we'll dive into. But first, I'd love to hear just a little bit from your perspective so people can connect to the heart of your story. What's that journey been like from discovering, hey, I'm not broken, to actually making that your life's work?
I had this, it really, I think the crux of it came at a really pivotal time in my life. I was kind of riding the fence in my marriage. I'd been in a relationship for almost 10 years, and it was coming to the truth of the matter that I wasn't really fulfilled there. Everything that my life involved at that time. And I was doing all the things I knew to do to get myself right and make the most, conscious decision that I could make. I was seeking counsel that I trusted and attending classes and getting quiet and asking my friend. I was kind of mentally kind of a train wreck, sort of navigating this big crossroads in my life. And I had a trusted mentor tell me, she just encouraged me to notice what it felt like in my body when I told the truth. And, I was having my head was so loud because there was so much at stake, that I was really having a hard time getting to what was true. I didn't know how to get there. I just knew I was confused and overwhelmed and in a mess. I just kept saying I was a mess, because that's really what it felt like. And when she encouraged me to do that, I trusted her and I took it on, and I just started paying attention, and kind of starting in the places where it felt the easiest. do I want to wear this today, or do I want to wear this today? Like, this is a low risk kind of choice I can make. And I can tune in and see what that feels like. And so I just started practicing in those sorts of situations, and I began to notice something consistent, that I could rely on my body, like it knew something that maybe my mind couldn't quite process or rationalize, but there was a distinct way that my body felt when the decision felt good or true for me. I think that looks different for everybody, which is part of what my work is about. You know, it's like for people to be able to find that for themselves. But for me, my feet felt really grounded. I had a sense of being rooted.
Yeah.
But also light at the same time. And I continue to feel it in the same way pretty much now, that there's this sense of expansiveness in my chest, and, you know, my head is higher, but I just feel really rooted and really light at the same time.
How did you know at that time that you needed help finding your own discernment?
Because I couldn't do it on my own. I just was spinning my wheels.
What did that feel like? So if someone's listening and they're feeling like they can relate to your experience.
Yeah, that's a really great question. What did it feel like? No answer felt settled. I had an answer. I would say it like this. I had an idea of what I should be doing and what the right thing would be. And I just kept trying to talk myself into that. So I was spinning my wheels. I was like answering the question, but it still felt unanswered. So it would pop back up and resurface again. Like my body still felt agitated and restless, and my experience was restless. And I was I really was running from things to a large degree, staying in motion and staying busy and avoiding the tough conversations, avoiding.
And why do you think that was?
Because sometimes telling the truth is really hard. And I think I knew, you know, at some level, it's still like the courage that it takes to tell the truth is like really something sometimes. And I think at a really deep level, I knew what there was for me to do. But as soon as I acknowledged it and really embraced it, I was going to have to do something about it. And that was hard.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think sometimes we pretend we don't know, because pretending we don't know is a lot easier than knowing and having to be responsible for what we know. It's easier to stay confused or whatever. So I was doing a lot of that.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because it makes me think of, and I know you work with clients on this too, like we're trained to listen to our head, to have it make sense. So a lot of our culture is pulling for us to stay confused and not see and hear and feel our body and our truth, right? Because otherwise we'd be teaching that in school.
Yeah. We're not interested in that as a society.
Which I know we have a similar passion for, right? That
yes, of course.
People get this knowledge sooner.
Yeah. And you asked me, Darla, how I knew that I needed, by this point, I had already been introduced to transformational work. So there was a lot of awareness about my own thoughts and my feelings. And I knew enough to know that there are things running in the background that influence us that we can't always see, and that we need outside help to be able to see. So I already had that appreciation. And I think that's another reason that I didn't just talk to anybody, you know, I wasn't just talking to all my friends and getting their opinion on what I knew to go to someone who was clear and centered and wise. So even the friends that I did talk to, you know, I felt had some discernment or something to offer that I could value.
That's great advice. Yeah. So I love that you said I'd already been exposed to transformational work. And when you know that, what I'm sensing is when you were feeling unsettled for so long, you knew something was up, something was ready to get looked at.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because when things are complete, you have a sense of freedom to be. And you know, when there's something to be looked at, you feel stifled and constrained and like you're running in circles. Yeah. And that's definitely a time to do what you know to do to get clear. For me, that's my indicator, you know.
Beautiful. So that was a while ago.
Yeah.
You left your marriage.
I did.
Today you work with women to really be able to hear their own heart and their truth. What have you learned since then about the body and the wisdom within?
Yeah. It's so funny. I know it goes without saying, but I feel the need to say, like, I think that there's a fear people experience when it comes to listening to their heart, that it's going to mean leaving their marriage or quitting their job or selling all their stuff and moving across the country. It's like, I work with people all the time that are interested in living a heart-led life. And it never means them leaving their relationship or making some drastic change. So while it did look somewhat like that for me, that's absolutely not everybody's path. So just throw that in there, because if you're scared, however.
I have had some drama personally.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes things get shaken up.
It doesn't feel like drama when you know, though, right? So for me, you know, even things that on the outside look dramatic don't feel so dramatic when you understand that your heart is guiding, right? It takes the drama out.
I would actually say yes. The drama is now uncomfortable, wildly so sometimes, challenging, scary, absolutely. But not necessarily dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you found that, you lead retreats all over the world. You do embodiment work at the retreats and a lot of, transformational breakthrough work. And, do you find that that their body knows more than maybe their mind? They have some kind of body wisdom.
Okay. No. I mean, yes, innately they do, but they don't come in knowing that they do.
Right.
Necessarily. So in my retreats, we use a free movement dance practice as one of the primary modalities of our work. And a lot of people come to retreat like they're intrigued by that. It sounds like a good idea, but they're scared to death.
Yeah.
Or they're really self-conscious. They have ways and the dance is so, I'm really passionate about it. I can't say enough about this beautiful practice for opening up this connection, because it's the perfect metaphor or analogy. Is that an analogy or a metaphor? It's
it's a metaphor.
Okay. It mirrors, right? Like how we're so concerned about the right way to do it, or we have this way that we think we should do it, or there's a good way and we're concerned about that. And we really can get in our head, and there's a very distinct difference of yourself and just the moment when you're in your head doing it versus when you drop into your body and you're just in the experience of it. And so for most people, they don't have the capacity to do that right away. That's part of what they're practicing and getting. Yeah. So they don't recognize maybe how much is available in their body just because they've never done it or tapped into it before. And that's not true for everybody. I mean, some people come on retreat with me are, you know, massage therapists or any yoga teachers or things, and they do have that connection. But it's really fun for those that have never experienced that before. There's kind of the dreaded dance session, you know, and you can just tell they're nervous and anxious. And
I went to I can't remember if I've shared this with you before, but I went to a workshop here locally, and it was on, I can't even remember what it was called, but something about self-expression. And we did a drawing of it, like we tuned into a particular issue or area or something we wanted to create, and we created art based on that.
Okay.
And then we danced the painting.
Okay, cool.
And it was really awesome. And I thought, I literally, I was like so grateful, because I thought, oh my gosh, the me, you know, a few years ago would have died right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing. It was such a beautiful practice. I've actually done it since, just at home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. People there's always, there's like the various stages people go through. I guess like any transformational process, right? We know there's the various spaces that people move through. And the same is true in the dance. You kind of watch it unfold, and, you know, you move from that self-conscious, trying to do it right and trying to not worry about that, but worrying about that. And to where there is this place where something gives, something drops. And if even for just a brief period of time, you have this incredibly rich experience of just being alive and embodied and free.
Yeah.
And it's a resource people can come back to over and over. And of course, like all of our tools, right? The more we practice that, the more facility we have with it. But the distinction is so undeniable and clear that they can use that anytime they want to true up to their heart.
That's awesome. So what would be an exercise? And by the way, I'm dancing in my mind right now, just so you know.
Yeah, it makes me
kind of stuck behind my computer today.
Yeah.
What would be an exercise you would give listeners that would help open up that connection?
Yeah. This is actually an exercise we're going to do in Wholehearted, the online series I'm doing. So just pick a song that you enjoy. Right? Just and commit to one song of exploration. And you can start the song and start with your feet planted and your eyes closed, and really just listen to the music without jumping into the dance or anything like that. Just kind of connect in and hear the music and feel the beat, and wait for something to pull at you. You know, wait for there to be an urge. And it might be something really subtle at first. It might just feel like just rocking, right? Or it might feel like something that actually you would say looks stupid, you know, you might judge it to say like, well, that's not a dance, or that's not
right.
But just as best you can, right? Like leave your judgment at the door. And for one song, just explore. And when something pulls at you, just follow it and see how it feels, you know, and maybe it's that. And then if you find yourself in your head, stop and tune into the music again and wait for the next thing to pull you. And you might find that you don't take many steps or make very grand gestures or anything like that at first, but what you do feels really true. You know, it feels really organic, like it's coming from somewhere within you.
Yeah.
And it is the sense of that energy that wants to come through us. So it's that, I just got the oof. It's that life that wants to come through us. And so it's a practice in surrendering to that and letting it move you. But you first have to be connected and available for that and trust that. And that's just one simple way you can practice. So when the song's over, you know, you're done for the day, and come back and do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So this begs the conversation for me around rich skills, right? The right brain, like the non-linear intuitive, connected in to source. You talked about the energy that wants to move through you.
Yeah.
Heart-centered skills. And we're going to talk more about, how do you know when your heart's speaking to you and things like that. What's been your experience with the value of that? Because what I really want people to hear and take away is their own inner confidence and the value of this type of work. So could you share a little bit about, if you had any concern or resistance or mental chatter, like, oh, people don't want that, they won't pay for that, or an example of like the value that you've seen created. I know your clients all have major breakthroughs because of maybe a simple exercise like that, of something that, allowing the energy to flow through, why that's created worth in the world.
Well, as soon as you ask the question, I immediately see like this big, broad perspective, right? Like all these pieces, like cooperative components, as Abraham Hicks would say, right? Like moving together to make things happen. So I think that first of all, there's like a bigger picture appreciation that there's more happening than what I can possibly see. And to limit my choices to what makes sense in my very limited rational mind is to rule out a whole host of possibilities on a cosmic scale, right? So it's like, I don't really want to live a life that's limited to my small thinking. As much as I try to expand my thinking all the time, it's like I want to be able to tap into something bigger than that. So,
and how's that been? Because when you talk about that and Abraham Hicks, and I'm imagining our listeners all are aware of Abraham Hicks, but maybe not.
Yeah.
But the world at large is not.
Right.
So what's that been like for you, following that, trusting that, integrating that into the way you do business when maybe the world isn't caught up to that yet or isn't in that place? And I'm just even thinking, I know you're coming to us from Mexico. It's not where you live, but you were led to be there right now because that's where you were led to be. So there's a way you live your life that's distinct from how a lot of people live.
Yeah, I made this promise with Spirit several years ago that if you make it clear, I'll muster the courage. I feel like that's my job. And, to stay connected to Spirit, first of all, like to stay receptive and connected and listening and paying attention. But beyond that, it's like, once you tell me and it's clear, I'll put my brave panties on and make a move. And I think, you ask how it is. And I think that's how it is. It's like kind of fucking scary sometimes. And that's the case for the clients I work with. Like when they step into that and they start doing those things, they're doing this stuff that's like, oh my gosh, I'm about to do this thing. I can't believe I'm doing this thing. I'm gonna completely rename my business and trash everything I already did and start with this because this feels better. Or I'm gonna turn down that huge job offer and that huge pay because it doesn't feel right for me. And I'm just gonna trust something else. And I'm gonna go ahead and quit this job that I've been doing and I'm gonna take off. And it's like all the things, they require, I think living like this, I believe living like a heart-led life means you have to step into the unknown. You got to walk into uncharted territory over and over again.
I was going to say once or over and over again.
No. Yeah. Over and over.
Practice.
Yeah. Well, and then so the first time you mentioned Mexico, and I'm back here in Mexico. The first time I came to Mexico, here I'm in Playa del Carmen right now. And I came here for the first time about 2 years ago. And it was sort of on a whim. I was looking to go somewhere. I knew I wanted to travel a bit. I knew I wanted to create a little bit of distance in my relationship. I'm in a committed relationship. We have a great partnership. And we really like our autonomy and our independence. And we were kind of looking at how he could have that while he was committed and needing to be in Dallas, where my home base is. And so I was going to look to go somewhere, and I was really just open. And as soon as I set the intention and then I was open, I saw a friend who was more like an acquaintance. I knew her online, but I hadn't actually personally met her. But she posted something about a dance that she was doing here in Playa. And as soon as I saw it, I knew I was supposed to go. And I was like, oh, what about Playa? So I immediately sent her a message, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for some place I might want to go. And she said, oh my gosh, yes, I love it here. And by the way, I've been wanting to work with you. So I was thinking of reaching out last week. And it was just like out of nowhere. I had a place, a community, and a client.
A new client.
So it just was so ding, ding, ding. And then next thing you know, I was here, and now I have this.
So traditional thinking would say that's crazy, right? Yeah. I'm assuming the dance was the dance like a 3-hour event or something?
Oh yeah, if that. Yeah. It was like part of the regular. We have a community here that we do this dance practice together once a week. So it wasn't even like a special thing that was happening.
Yeah, it's like who moves to Mexico because of a dance, right? The traditional thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a different way of doing life.
And that's just kind of my life now.
Yeah, because Spirit had a reason you were to be there.
Yeah, yeah.
We met there.
Yeah. Yes. I was in Mexico that's right. Oh, I mean, so many beautiful things.
I'm sure you had a lot of experiences that helped you know, oh, this is why I'm here.
Yes. Plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plenty.
And then I'm curious, because I know a lot of people in my community, have the heart-centered urge to live a non-traditional life, and then have a chatter of, can I do that? What would that be like? So did you get any pushback or flack about being living in different places for a time?
I think it's great. Yeah. In a minute you ask what's that like? And that was one answer that was there for me too, is you have to not care so much about, you got to be willing to, what are the words I'm looking for? Like, do it your own way, regardless of what other people think, and be able to stand in the face of their concerns or their doubts, because they do sometimes want to project their fear on you. Is that safe? Or, coming to Mexico or whatever it is, is that safe? Or I don't know how you guys do that. Like, I could never be away from my partner from my husband for blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I get it's not going to make sense to everyone, and people that love you are naturally going to share their concerns. And I think knowing too that when you make choices like that, you are naturally going to highlight for the people around you where they maybe aren't making choices like that. And that's going to be really uncomfortable. Yeah. So mostly it's not about me, their concern for me. For the most part, it's about their own discomfort, whatever my choices are shaking up in their life.
Right. Yeah. And when you make that commitment, if you make it clear, Spirit, I'll muster the courage, that's part of that commitment, right? Is to being someone who can roll with that.
Yeah.
I believe it's part of our role, actually, and purpose is to shake that up in other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So what would you like to share? You're an expert at being able to hear your heart, your wild heart, as you say, and allow it to speak to you. Mm-hmm. What have you learned about that? Or what would you share with people about how to do that in a practical way?
Yeah. I would say the most important thing is that you make that commitment or you set that intention. Because what it actually looks like, how your heart speaks to you, I feel like it's different for everybody. And so it's not like I can say, oh, you're going to know it's your heart when it's like this. I mean, yes, there are some basic things like, right, we know some things about how the ego works and how it wants to keep us safe and protected. And so there's a specific way that it'll sound, and things that the nature of the egoic thoughts is recognizable in certain ways. And so there are some general things, of course, but overall, you have to discern for yourself. I think it's an exploration that you have to be willing to go on to know, how does spirit speak to you? How does your heart speak to you? What does truth feel like for you? And I can't tell you that. I can guide you in an exploration, and I can hold you there long enough to discover that for yourself. But you have to do that work yourself. And so I think the first thing is just getting committed to it, like putting both your feet in and saying, I want to live this kind of life. I'm open to it. Maybe I don't know how or what that's going to mean, but I'm willing to find out.
And how do you know if someone's ready to do that journey? Or how would someone listening know, yes, now is the time?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I feel like that's the very question people are dealing with when they're, so I'm doing this series about, that is this exploration. It's like kind of taking people through this discovery of what it sounds like. And even the people that are kind of riding the fence, they're not sure, like they kind of want to do it, but they've got a little doubt. I'm like, oh, it's perfect. This is exactly what we're going to be looking at. And you get to test it out now. So I think, what I was saying earlier, for me, where it started, start where it's easiest, and start paying attention to, like, what are the things that your heart is really what I would call a wholehearted yes about. And
yeah, I loved your advice earlier. Like, do I want to wear this or this?
Yeah. Like, go for a walk around your neighborhood and just walk out your front door and say left or right or straight, or, however you live, and just see. And you may start walking left and something might go, and you need to turn around and walk the other way. And then you realize, oh yeah, that feels better. And if you do that enough, you start to get really familiar. So I would say start where it's easy, get committed, and then start where it's easy and pay attention.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. What do you feel gets in the way for people of letting their heart lead? We kind of touched on it, I think, a bit in your story, but what have you seen with your clients in your community?
Fear, doubt, and all the things they think about how they should be or how life should be. Some form of judgment or limiting belief.
Yeah.
We don't trust our desire. I don't think often, and I do think that there's some discernment that has to happen. So much of my work, we talk about following what feels good and true. And inevitably people have to find that edge between, because I certainly don't mean do what feels good, like give into your every whim and do whatever you feel like all the time. That's different. Right. So it's like what feels good in the way. I like speaking about it like this, and I think it's why I went with wholehearted even as a term, because there's a way that what feels true has you feel more whole, and not more whole in the inflated ego sort of puffed up way, but a whole in, like, you don't want to hide, you don't want to run away, you feel like you have the power and the freedom to show up in your life, right? Like that sense of wholeness that's there. So yeah.
That's beautiful. That's a great way to think about it. When something, I can kind of feel into places in the past where maybe something has made me feel like, oh, I've got to have it all sorted before I can get visible, before I can talk about it, before I can tell people about it. And that feels limiting, as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to something where it's like, well, it just is.
Mm-hmm.
And
And it might be
there's
scary,
yes.
but there's still a freedom involved with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it just feels true. And when something feels so true, even if it does require, what did you say about your panties? It wasn't
Brave panties.
brave panties. Even if it does require brave panties, they fit, right? And it feels
Yes. And you're ready for it because all of you is there for it. You know, you're not half-hearted about it. You're not keeping something back. You're not like,
yes,
there's all of your energy and all of you available for it.
yes.
Yeah.
So to circle back to, my mission around more money filtering into businesses that are wholehearted, that are rich, that are coming from this place. Let's talk a little bit about investing in this type of work.
Okay.
Because you have a business, I have a business,
Yep.
we work with people who are willing to invest in this type of work because they know that it really is what matters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I don't know if a story pops to mind. I'm just trusting what comes through. But what's been your personal, path or decision to say, because I know you invest in your mindset, in your alignment, in your connection. That's the thing I invest the most in.
Yep.
Why has that been so important? And, as we compare it to some of the strategies out there, or like the practical coursework you can buy versus like going on retreat where you get to see your heart.
Yeah. Well, again, I see like that bigger, broader sort of cosmic picture. And I remember this insight I had in a Kundalini class one time, and that like we're doing some crazy funky breath work. Have you ever done Kundalini?
Yes.
It's bizarre. I mean, it's, different in terms of yoga. I love it, but it's different. So we're doing some like breath work, and I have this series of thoughts that basically had me laughing out loud. Like, oh, I think I know how something's supposed to go. How arrogant is that I would think that I know how something's supposed to go, right? And I just all of a sudden could appreciate like there's this whole big, amazing picture out there. So again, it's like making that investment is like, and when it's really aligned. So I totally say yes to situations like that are going to develop me. When they have that resonant, I feel really grounded and light at the same time. And I know that it's like I'm bypassing something. It's that I've just let go of my arrogant small thinking to tap into some bigger cosmic thing. I've opened myself up to a whole new level of velocity and momentum by doing that.
That's a
does
beautiful.
that answer the question? That seems like a really yeah. Okay.
No, I love it. And it's sometimes these concepts are hard to put words around.
Yes.
Right. You kind of get a visual and a feeling more so than you do step one, you do step two, you do step three. Because for me, the way I would say it is it's energy, right? So we're tapping into a container of an energy. You said velocity, right? That's maybe different than the container that our ego is now attached to.
Yes. And my mind would have me try to figure out, I mean, I am like most people, a master figure outer, recovering figure outer at this point, would have me figure out what I should do and I need to do. And I would look at what other people are doing. And then I would like do that. And then I would do some research and I would think of what makes sense. And even as I say that, it all feels like, it's like I'm stuck in traffic on a highway, kind of going 15 miles an hour, bumper to bumper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I get this ping of, some opportunity that comes in and it's like, it feels like it's pulling at me like a string in my heart. It goes, yeah. And it's as if I just took an exit onto the expressway and bypassed all the traffic that I could have been sitting in for 2 years. And instead I'm just like flying high over here.
Yeah. There's another dimension for travel available.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
Awesome.
Which is so fun, isn't it?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
and it's fun. And then sometimes we go, whoa, like put the brakes on, because what happens off that exit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I think you're spot on when you're talking about commitment and having a commitment to living your life in that way. It changes everything.
And that being willing to be in the unknown, because if I'm sitting here in traffic, I know I can gauge how long it might take me. I've got some predictability. Like I take the exit ramp and I say yes to spirit, and I have no idea what the hell kind of ride I'm in for. Sometimes, most of the time.
Right.
But that's the good thing, because if I did know, it would be a regurgitation of my past. It'd be limited by my thinking, because my thinking is always past. I mean, where else could it come from rather than what I know? Yeah. So if you want something unprecedented, then unknown territory is where it's at.
Yeah. I can't remember where I read this recently, but someone was talking about how every so many years or whatever, basically your whole goal should be to blow up your business every so many years, because if you're making incremental shifts, it's all based on the past.
Yeah.
Right. Because as a leader, you have to relearn, what does it mean to lead now? Where I'm going, which will probably be like totally different skills, totally different ways of being, totally different systems and operations and all of that than, the old version of the business.
Yeah.
It makes me think of that, right? Because we're, traditional thinking would be, well, do more of what's working and don't, kill something that's working. And what I've found is, it's usually, like you said, it's usually not as dramatic as we think. It's a slight pivot, but that being willing to totally let go of what we thought we knew in favor of the next thing.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I hear when you talk about the exit ramp.
Totally. I had a whole retreat where we kept anchoring into this quote, and I wish I could remember who said it, but it was, the important thing is this: to be willing to sacrifice who you are on behalf of who you might become. Like that. Or your business, where your business is on behalf of what it could become. I love that. And even as you say that, I'm like, oh shit, that sounds scary.
Every time, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I will admit that I would say it still, this is probably true, even as we're talking about, quantum leaps and taking the exit ramp. There's always been a part of me that thinks, but then at that level,
there won't be another exit ramp.
Right? At that level. And I haven't found that to be true yet there's some, the moment my ego stops imagining that there is a plateau will be another level of freedom, right? Because there's some part that's always like, oh, and then it'll be, but why would we want that? Why would we want to keep regurgitating the past, as you said?
Yeah. I get old.
So for someone who's listening and they're leaning in and they're feeling like, yes, wholehearted living is for me. I want to go on this journey. I know I am willing to follow spirit, to muster the courage. If I can just get clear on this connection, how can people get more from you?
Yeah. Well, I hope they can definitely find my website. And there's a couple of ways that
so AshlieWoods.com, it'll be below the video, but
Yep.
Ashlie, with an IE,
Right.
woods.com.
Yep. ASHLIE Woods.com. And then there's a couple of ways that we could play. I have retreats throughout the year. I also host a monthly meditation circle that's a virtual experience. So, the retreats I do are formed around a free movement dance practice and meditation. So we use movement and stillness as our main modalities. And yeah, the monthly meditation circle is like a super sweet place for someone to drop in from the comfort of their home and just kind of see what it's all about.
And they can find that on your website.
They can find that on my website. As I'm saying that now, I'm wondering, can they find that on my website? That's a really good question. I have a Facebook group where we share the details of those calls, and it's called Sacred Circle Meditations.
Sacred Circle?
Sacred Circle Meditations is it's a private Facebook group where we share those. But yes, if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get information about the virtual circle. Great. So how about that? Anything I'm doing, if you sign up for my blog, then all the information's there.
I was going to just make up a URL for you.
And then I could go make it work.
Yeah. So for those of you watching, listening, if you aren't yet familiar with internet marketing, we record this and then we put it out. So there's always this magical time period where whatever you say, you can then go create.
Yay!
And that's part of, that's truly, the skills you're talking about mastering of like, just, oh, my heart wants this, let me go here. Like there is a way of, well, we just say yes and then create it, right?
Yep.
So it's a great skill for being a business owner too.
Yes, it is actually. Yeah.
Awesome. So they should get on your newsletter, hop in your Facebook group. They'll get invited to a meditation. They'll get the news about your upcoming retreats.
Yes. All the above. Yes.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Ashlie, anything you would like to leave people with?
When you first asked the question, Darla, about if someone wanted to get connected, how would they get started? The first thing that was there for me was just put yourself in any kind of container that has the intention of transformation. Maybe you're pulled to my work and great, beautiful. I'd love to meet you. Maybe that there's another retreat that's been on your mind and you just haven't actually made the leap. Do something. Take some sort of action that's a demonstration of your commitment. And you can't beat a retreat. I mean, obviously we're biased, but it's a surefire way, it's a reliable way. It's exactly where I would go. If I knew I wanted to get clear about something, I would put myself into some sort of container with somebody I knew I could trust and felt called to, and watch the magic happen.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashlie, for being here, giving your time, and for who you are in the world. I just love that I get to do this journey with other leaders like you. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I feel really honored that you invited me to be here. So
awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you everyone for listening. Tune into our next episode in the series on the Rich Revolution and go connect with Ashlie ASAP.
Yeah.
Bye everyone. Have you been called to integrate transformational retreats into the way you work with your clients? Do you want to be known as a masterful leader of experiences that permanently shift your clients' mindset and energy so their results with you quantum leap? Would you like to receive great money for those magical and unique parts of you that you've likely been sneaking into your work for free because you're not sure how to market them? We're now taking applications for March in the Beautifully Aligned Retreat Leader Collective. Spots are limited in this 12-month container of support for your business vision. You will rock the front of the room with the latest techniques and skills and have the inside scoop on venues and creating amazing experiences. You'll learn to streamline your business model and marketing so you aren't always in search of your next client. And you'll connect at a heart level to others on this journey who speak your language and uplift your work in their communities. Visit alignedentrepreneurs.com/collective and apply today.